Stop what you're doing, because the next 11 minutes will completely change how you paint landscapes. That perfect balance of light and shadow and creating depth and distance in your paintings that you've been struggling with, it's about to become effortless. Most artists get this completely wrong, but in today's video I'm going to show you a powerful technique that will transform how you approach landscape painting. And the way to do this is to start by painting your dark values first. Now, value refers to how light or dark a subject is in the landscape, and the general rule is we'll find our darkest darks and our lightest lights in the foreground, yet as landforms recede, the darks aren't as dark and the lights are not as light. Now, I'm going to show you this in this plein air landscape painting that I did in far north New Zealand where I live. And although I'm painting outdoors, this isn't essential. All the techniques that I'm going to show you here is just as applicable to studio painting. In fact, the way I paint in the studio was as a result of painting outdoors. So as I say, painting outdoors, not essential. The techniques here are just as applicable to studio painting. Now, I am painting this really nice landscape where I live. It features rolling hills and trees. And it was just an afternoon where I just decided I wanted to paint outdoors, and there's so much beautiful scenery around where I live. So what I did was I started off by painting the darkest darks first, and these are the trees that are in the foreground. Now, trees typically are some of the darkest values to be found in the landscape, often because the foliage is naturally dark, but when they're growing as groups of trees, then you get a lot of occlusion shadows, so the shadows are going to be dark. So I painted these first. And I used a mix of ultramarine blue with just a little bit of yellow ochre. So the yellow ochre desaturates the blue and it creates a very dark green. Now, once I'd painted the main shadows for the trees in the foreground and midground, I started painting the tree shadows in the background. Because they're further away, those tree shadows are going to be quite a bit lighter. And even the distant hills are lighter. And for this I used a mix of ultramarine blue with some burnt sienna, some titanium white and a little alizarin crimson. I was then able to use the same colours for the distant hills and the cloud shadows as well. With the cloud shadows I just added a lot more titanium white in the mix to make the value lighter. So what I'm doing here is I'm setting up the whole structure for the painting by painting my dark values first. Now, I'm painting in oils here, but you could also use acrylics. The brand of oil paints I'm using are Blue Ridge oils, and if you want to get some, I've put a link in the description box below. So my main areas of darks are all established, so now I can start painting the lighter areas, such as these distant fields here. Now, when I paint, I think in terms of value mainly, and I've just found this makes things a lot easier, especially with the colour mixing as well. Now, I'm painting these distant fields, and I'm keeping in mind that they're in cloud shadow. In fact, most of the scene was in cloud shadow. The sun did come out for a few minutes, creating a spotlighting effect on some of the hills, which gave me an idea for this painting. So I decided I was going to paint some of these hills in the full light. But in the meantime, I needed to keep in mind that most of these fields were in shadow. And so I need to desaturate my green. So that means to reduce the chroma or the saturation of the colour, reducing the intensity. For this I used a mix of yellow ochre with ultramarine blue and some titanium white, and this was serving as the base of my green. I added a little bit of cadmium yellow medium, but not too much. Then also a little bit of cobalt teal and some alizarin crimson. Now, as I work forward in the painting, I can increase the saturation of the green. I make it more intense in colour. And what I did here was I used similar colours to what I used in the background, but I just added more cadmium yellow medium and even some phthalo green as well. Now, phthalo green is a really powerful colour. It has a high tinting strength, so you only need a small amount of it, but it's just to increase the saturation. Now, I was trying to get the canvas covered here as quickly as possible, and I could see that the sunlight was going to come out through the clouds, and I was ready for when this happened. So here I'm painting in some more saturated colour here, and it's also lighter in value. For this I used yellow ochre, ultramarine blue, cadmium yellow medium and titanium white, and then I also mixed in a little bit of cobalt teal and a little bit of cadmium red light. So painting these lighter, more saturated greens is going to communicate the bright sunlight coming through the clouds, and it's going to add impact and atmosphere to the whole painting. Now, another thing to keep in mind about grass is it's one of the more lighter values in the landscape. So if you remember, I said trees are some of the darkest values in the landscape. Well, the ground planes of the grass are usually much lighter. So it's really important that the grass is lighter so that the trees stand out. There are some exceptions sometimes, certainly with some species of deciduous trees, especially in spring, can have quite light coloured foliage, but it does tend to darken up as the season progresses and gets into summer. Now, my aim here was to paint quickly and cover the canvas as quickly as possible, and then I can start working in some details. I was using quite large brushes, number 5 bristle flat brushes, and my brushes are made by Rosemary & Co. And if you want to get some Rosemary & Co brushes, I've put a link to their website in the description box below. Now, as I stated at the beginning of the video, I find it easier to paint the dark values first whenever I paint any type of landscape, or indeed any kind of painting. By painting the darks first, it makes it much easier to paint the areas in light afterwards. It makes it easier to get the saturation of your colour correct and the value of the colour correct for the areas that are in light. You'll be able to see straight away whether your colour is too saturated or too dark when next to the shadows. So painting the darks first creates a whole framework for the painting. Now, if you're struggling in general to just understand the lights and darks in the landscape that you're painting, then take your phone and take a photo and then switch it to black and white, or even any of the photos that you have that you're painting from. Just get one of them, make a copy and switch it to black and white, and you'll be able to clearly see where all the lights and darks are in the landscape. Now back to the painting here, and I'm starting to paint the areas of the tree foliage in the midground that's in light, and also the tree in the foreground. And I'm able to paint the colour next to the shadows and see whether it's too light or too dark or too saturated, or if the colour's not saturated enough. I've generally used a similar green to what I used in the grass, but I just made the value of the green a bit darker. As I said, trees are some of the darkest values in the landscape. I've pretty much got the canvas covered at this point, and I'm starting to work in a little bit of detail and start refining the shapes of these trees in the midground, and then in just a moment I started working on the tree in the foreground. In the meantime, I was painting this distant road. It's just a dirt track that leads to some of the farmers' fields here. One of the things I really wanted to communicate in this painting is that it's a rural scene here with lots of farms, fields and animals. Now, many artists struggle with painting greens and creating depth and distance in their paintings, and also have trouble with composition as well as colour mixing. And one of the things that I found that really helped to improve my landscape painting was to have a set system or a plan for creating my paintings in the studio. And that's why I've created my free landscape painting blueprint. It shows you my process for creating an artwork, which starts from choosing my photos, sketching, painting a colour study, and then doing a final painting. If you'd like to get my free landscape painting blueprint so you can level up your painting skills, then just click the link below and I'll send it over to you. Enjoy! Now back to the painting, and I'm starting to think about getting it finished, so I'm bringing in some more details here. One of the things I was doing was restating the dark values, which I tend to do more towards the end of the painting, but not quite at the end. I save my lightest lights until the very end of the painting. But here what I wanted to do was really emphasize the shadows in the trees and just bulk out the tree canopies a bit more to make them look more rounded and three-dimensional. So I was using pretty similar colours to what I was using at the beginning of the painting, mainly ultramarine blue with yellow ochre and a little bit of cobalt teal. There's also some alizarin crimson in there. But I'm starting to make some refinements to this painting and add things like shadows in the grass that are being cast by the trees, for example, and beginning to add more details to it to make the painting look more engaging. Now the next thing to do was to paint the lighter values in the tree on the right side of the painting. There's actually a couple of trees here. There's some tortora trees, which is native to New Zealand, and then right behind it was a poplar tree, so you could see some of the leaves coming through there. Now again, I used a similar green to what I used in the grass, so mainly a mix of yellow ochre with ultramarine blue, a bit of cadmium yellow medium, some phthalo green, a little cadmium red light and titanium white. Now as I'm finishing up the painting here, I'm also using synthetic brushes here, so these produce a much finer mark, a more chiseled edge, and I've been saving my lightest lights until the end. So this was in the foliage in the poplar tree that's behind the tortora tree there. I finish up the painting by adding some last details. This includes the suggestion of fence posts, some cows in the midground, and also some flowers that are growing at the edge of the fields here. So I hope you found this video helpful. Remember to start your paintings by painting the darks first. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.